An international human rights group, Amnesty International, said the Australian government's inability to tackle poverty among the indigenous populations was a violation of human rights. Secretary-General Irene Khan addressing the National Press Club in Canberra, stating that the living conditions of Aboriginal people in Australia was deeply disturbing and required a new approach.
It is pretty clear that what they are suffering from is a base violation of the human rights. And these violations occur on a continent of such privilege that it is not merely disheartening, it is deeply disturbing. And the long-standing failure of Australian governments to turn this tide of human tragedy demands much more than condemnation. It demands much more than commitment. It demands an engagement and, I would even say, a new approach to this issue.
Indigenous Australians have an average life expectancy that is 17 years less than non-Indigenous Australians. Communities living in designated areas called town camps suffer chronic violence along with housing problems.
And the moral imperative to end poverty is as convincing as the moral imperative to stop torture. Just as government policy, choices that governments make perpetuate torture, choices that governments make also perpetuate poverty. And in Australia, surely that is the case.
During her trip to Australia, Khan visited several communities in Central Australia. Earlier this year, the United Nations also criticized Australian government policies toward Indigenous communities. TITV Weekly.